This is the brand new Land Rover Defender. While the name has been around for nearly half a century, this is only the second generation. Land Rover has been building the old one for decades, with refreshments time and time again.
But there's only so much you can squeeze out of a tube of toothpaste. For this new SUV, Land Rover has given it a brand new underpinning. It is completely bespoke. It shares very little with the other SUVs in the Land Rover family. You get brand new adaptive LED headlamps. Additionally, they've been squared off to give it that retro SUV look. The front grille is also very bespoke to itself. There's no other SUV in the Land Rover family that looks like the Defender. Come to the sides, you get 20-inch alloy wheels. There are many options you can choose, but for me, I would rather have the base white colored steel rims. They just add so much to the vehicle's character. They all come with wrapped in Goodyear off-road rubber. Additionally, this car is spec'd with the additional black pack, so you can have a few of these elements finished in black along with these heated wing mirrors. Follow me to the back and you can see it's got that old reminiscent boxy SUV look from the past. At the back again, there are these LED tail lamps also with that squared off look that are reminiscent to the old original Defender. And again, you have the SUV styled boot mounted spare wheel. Again, it's a full-size spare wheel, of course. Ooh, okay. So there was someone, I guess, before me who went a little adventurous with their cars, but it's a broken tail lamp. However, this is the Defender, so battle scars.
It's got the classic boxy look of an old SUV and other design elements like the headlamps and the tail lamps, but with the rounded off edges that make it look contemporary. One thing you will never do is mistake it for anything else but a hardcore off-roader.
Just look at the sheer size of the thing. It towers nearly everything on the road. But there is going to be a smaller Defender 90 version coming in soon. As for now, this 110 is a little bit embarrassing if I'm honest, because when I get out of it, you can see that I'm not much of a big human being. So people tend to question, like, where's the rest of me? However, the interior is really nice, so let's take a look at that.
The cabin is like a modern take on the old classic Defender. Touches like the large grab handles on the dash, the design of the center console, the rugged chunky steering wheel. It's unlike any other in the Land Rover family. Right in the center you have the new touchscreen infotainment system with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The touch response could be improved, I feel. The driver gets a digital gauge, however its screen resolution leaves room for improvement. The seats are comfortable, you get a good driving position, there is loads of storage and many charging ports for all occupants. There is a decent amount of room in the back seats for long journeys and everything looks like it's built to last.
Now the 110 also comes with 2 additional seats as a third row. Honestly, they're not very practical. There's not much space in here. Maybe you could seat 2 very small kids for very, very short journeys. In fact, it seems quite impractical, so I'm not even going to try and attempt to sit in there. Although it looks rather nice, I can't help but feel there's one thing wrong with it. So let's fix that, shall we?
Now with that sorted, let's get on with it, shall we? The true test of the Defender is off-road, to get where no other regular car can reach. So we came to the off-road adventure zone to spend some quality time with the Defender. To keep the Defender going no matter what terrain, it comes with Land Rover's Terrain Response 2 system, and it also offers the ability to configure it yourself if you know what you're doing. It also comes with rear axle locking differential, torque vectoring, hill launch and all-terrain progress control. We just left it all in off-road, auto mode and just went about driving. While there are many obstacles on the course specifically designed to test the driver and the car, they barely seem to scratch the surface of the Defender's capabilities.
Now this one is equipped with air suspension as standard. What that gives you is the ability to raise the ride height and give you added ground clearance. So for off-road, that is brilliant. Now to help you navigate when you're driving off-road, you may not even need a real spotter because the Defender comes with many cameras positioned in many places, and also you get a 3D surround view of the car. So when you're going off-road, it just makes your life so much easier. But my favorite view of the lot is the one that lets you see through the engine itself. So that gives you a front view, what is right underneath the car, which is extremely cool.
The wheel articulation is phenomenal to say the least, and for most obstacles, the Defender just kept going. The off-road setting also allowed for a healthy dose of gradual power to allow the Defender to keep a steady pace through the entire course. With hill descent control activated, no matter how steep the gradient is, it was unfazed. It was a similar story when it had to climb back out of the ditch. Then through the trail, it just plowed through the entire track with ease. It never questioned, apart from when you lose a bit of traction, the traction control does take its time to restore throttle control back to the driver. But more importantly, we needed to test the Defender where we believe it will spend most of the time in its life, on paved tarmac. The one we were driving is the 2-liter 4-cylinder petrol, which is good for 300 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque. Power is channeled through the 8-speed automatic with drive select modes. However, our test car didn't feature the optional paddle shifters.
The performance from the engine is quite adequate. When you're driving on the road, it feels refined, it feels smooth, you have decent amount of grunt. However, when you're trying to push, you can mash the throttle, but the transmission takes a moment to kick down before you can lunge forward.
Thankfully, the bigger and more powerful engine options will be available with the Defender later this year. As for the ride, off-road the suspension does its job well. However, on the road, even with the air suspension, the Defender isn't what one would call plush. It does dither about over small bumps. It is comfortable for most part. There is some roll through the corners, but that is to be expected from a vehicle of its size. But it manages well to just flatten most bumps on the road.
Now, one thing you cannot argue is that the Defender offers a lot of road presence. So it's hilarious to see people jump out of their ways because they see a massive 3-ton SUV, a huge chunk of metal flashing in their mirrors. Additionally, the Defender just flattens everything on the road, whether it's bumps, potholes, speed breakers, maybe even some other cars. You're never nervous when approaching badly paved surfaces.
However, you do feel the weight of the car when you need to brake. You have to edge on the side of caution when you need to brake hard. While pedal feel and the response is good, it is mostly the weight that can catch you off guard.
The cabin is fairly quiet and refined, but due to the off-road knobby tires, there is a bit of road noise that seeps into the cabin. But then you have a Meridian sound system on offer, which kind of overpowers everything and it sounds beautiful. One thing I will admit is that this entire center console panel with the buttons for the off-road and the HVAC system, it's a little confusing to be using when you're driving because there are additional processes to do one simple job and it takes your eyes off the road when you're doing it. So it might be possible that you get used to it, but I think that Land Rover could just take a second guess at what they're doing over here.
The original Defender was designed to be a workhorse. While this has quite a few similar traits that are apparent underneath the skin, you're not buying this for the luxury. Instead, you want one for its capabilities. If you're looking for luxury, the Range Rover or the Range Rover Sport would be your best bet. There are some minor shortcomings, of course, like we mentioned, but I think with the bigger engine in the 110 or maybe Even the 3-door Defender 90 with this motor is quite the package. I think Land Rover has knocked it out of the park in creating a successor to the iconic Defender and played perfectly to the strengths of its heritage. I do believe that for the price, it is quite an expensive toy. But as far as toys go, there is little to nothing on the road like the Land Rover Defender. End of argument.